It's now time for The Sit Down with Don Tony.
The Sit Down, where Don Tony talks one-on-one with his followers.
What are you looking at?
About the world of pro wrestling, pop culture, and so much more.
The Sit Down with Don Tony.
And now, your host, Don Tony.
That's right, everybody. Grab life by the meatballs. Happy Sunday, each and every one of you out there. The Sit Down with yours truly is live and in living color. Grab life by the meatballs. I am Don Tony. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Man, this weekend flew. We're going to get right into your questions, whatever is on your mind. Now, as I wrote in the preview, tonight we are going 60 minutes because if you haven't tuned into the other shows, not only will I be going live soon with special shows on Pro Wrestling TV, but as we speak, in 1 month's time, the Don Tony Show is the #1 video on demand show on the entire Pro Wrestling TV network. Every fed, every event, every podcast, we're #1. Go figure. I don't understand it, everybody, but I love it. And we're going to keep riding that high, that emotional high. And as I say, seriously, grab life by the meatballs. So how's everybody doing? All I ask, when you post a question, just write the word question before your question so it stands out, because I know a lot of you are chatting with each other during the show, and this way I could spot it quicker. Now, obviously, super chats are never required. They're obviously always appreciated. You know, they go to the expenses. Don Tony sometimes could get a cappuccino with a little bit of fundage left over. But, you know, obviously anybody that does that will get VIP treatment. I try to give everybody VIP treatment. Let's be honest. I will tell you one question that came in so far. We'll get into it in a few minutes. It's a fascinating question. And honestly, I've been doing this 25 years, going on 26. I don't think this question has ever been asked. So we'll get into that in a few minutes. All right off the bat. Oh, by the way, shout out to Chaos, who is king of the mods. Austin is, I believe, off tonight. And shout out to everybody who is live, because remember, if you're watching this on a replay or you're listening to this on a replay, everybody who is live are the ones creating the topics of discussion for this hour. And especially since we're only going 60 minutes today to try to test it out, see if we can bang it out at exactly 60. I don't want to waste any time whatsoever. Juan Espinoza is asking, when do I think Cody Rhodes will return? I've said this before. I've thought about it, and I'm sticking with it. The Royal Rumble. They said 9 months, so people don't start asking, you know, oh, could he return sooner, this and that. And even if they did, you think, okay, this is WrestleMania time. See, I brought this up in my business world also. Like when I do defensive driver class, I actually teach safety classes, no joke. And when people say to me, when am I going to get the certificate in the mail? I tell them about 6 weeks. In actuality, they only get it 2 to 3 weeks. But I tell them 6. Because if I tell them 2 to 3 weeks, they're going to start bugging me after 2 weeks. Hey, Don Tony, where's my fucking certificate? I said 2, 3 weeks. Well, it's next week's 2 weeks. So if you tell them 6, chances are they're never going to bother you. So by WWE saying 9 months, it does 2 things. It gets everybody's mind off of the Royal Rumble with Cody Rhodes. Second off, when Cody returns in 6 or 7, it seems like, oh, super Cody, you know, fought and trained and worked hard and did everything he could to get back sooner. Royal Rumble. Bank on it. Unless complications. Look, I'm not a doctor. I'm not God. anything could happen to Cody. There could be setbacks, no question. But my hunch is the Royal Rumble. Twix is asking, will Tony, I'm assuming Khan, try to buy WWE? No. Tony Khan, I think people have said he's worth about $10 billion. I brought this up before. I know there's a lot of people that truly think that AEW is going to be a fad, and a couple of years it'll be out of business. And I brought this up many times before. If they get a decent TV deal, even if Tony Khan lost $100 million a year, think about that. And you go back to WCW days, that's pretty comparable. But if they get a decent TV deal and he just overpays for everything, pays, and he loses $100 million a year, after 10 years, that's only $1 billion. Barring that he doesn't make another penny over the next 10 years, that would only be 10% of his whole value. AEW will be around for a long time. But there is no way he is going to invest that kind of cash into WWE. It's got to be a network conglomerate for the library, for everything else. So, no, not even a question. Not even possible. Bash says his father's worth $10 billion. Well, you know what? The family's worth $10 billion. By the way, did you hear the Ring of Honor pay-per-view price? $39.99. I ain't paying $39.99. This is a promotion that's not even back. It's done one event since April. One. There's no house shows. There's no touring. This is AEW wrestlers wrestling in 2 weeks, charging $40 a clip. With all due respect, I did ticket sales. Somebody wrote earlier that they sold 2,000 tickets. That's awesome, man. Seriously. I hope they sell out. I heard the building seats about 5,000, but I think they're setting it up for 3. I personally think if they set it up for 5, they'll probably sell out. To go to a live event, to get out of the house, to hang out with your friends, to go see wrestling in person, worth every penny. Let me make this clear. Every penny worth going to that Ring of Honor event live and in person. But let's be honest. You look at that fucking card. Most of those guys are Rampage material. Oh, but the Ring of Honor title's on the line. Yeah? The fuck does that mean? The promotion is not back. It's not even back semi-full-time. I ain't spending $39.99. Anybody that has the extra cash, go for it. But no. At most, $19.99. But again, this is, Tony Khan trying to regroup and get as much money back as possible. He's lost more money than he's gained. If he did pay-per-views every month, he'll probably start making money a little bit quicker. But, he can't just snap his fingers and, okay, you got a pay-per-view every month. There is a crazy amount of shit involved. Not only that, you need buildings, you need the streaming capabilities, you need to set up lots of plane fare and travel, and which is pretty much the same thing. $39.99, no fucking way. No way would I pay $39.99 for a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. Not now. It's back full time. All right, think about it. No way. No way. All right. More questions. Cappy Caveman. Hey, Cappy, happy belated. Was it birthday? Was your birthday? I was going through the questions for the Thursday stream, the Q&A mailbag this week. I thought you wrote that your birthday was July 7th. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but I did get your message. I am going to get into it this week. And something tells me it might not have been, but happy birthday. Sometime this year, it's going to be your birthday. Do I think Tony Khan will hire the Briscoes back after the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, or is it going to be a one-off? Look, man, okay, so it wasn't your birthday. It was somebody else. Sorry. Your birthday will be coming out. The Briscoes, I heard, that somebody in Warner Media was extremely upset. I'll be honest with you. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. There are some people in that company that do not have the greatest behavioral background. And I just don't picture the Briscoes as being on that Hulk Hogan ban list. I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it. I think that because, and look, if you remember last year, what did I say that 2022 was going to be? I said it was going to be the year of the contract. It's going to be the year of the contract. It's not just those 3-year deals coming to roost. But at some point, Tony Khan realizes, I have too many people on my fucking roster. I got to focus on Ring of Honor, splitting it up. That's why Samoa Joe, I mean, he's non-existent on AEW television. You know, he's pretty much set up for Ring of Honor right now. The Briscoes, the same thing. Jonathan Gresham, the only reason why he was on Rampage was to set up the match for the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. If the Ring of Honor pay-per-view wasn't happening, Gresham wouldn't have been on the TV. Possible. Anything is possible. But, you know, that's how I look at it. I think the Briscoes do have value. But also keep in mind that they have not moved the needle in Impact Wrestling. And me, I've always said this. If I have someone that I am a huge fan of, if I'm a huge fan of someone, and they're going to, just give me a second. I wanted to fix my chair. It's getting a little annoying here. If I have a wrestler that I am a huge fan of, and I know they're going to be on TV, whether it's a talk show, a movie appearance, a repeat of something, you know, another wrestling promotion, if I'm up, I'm going to watch it. I mean, we used to do WrestleVision. Remember when I used to do WrestleVision in the 2000s? Every day I used to put a list up of all the TV appearances that wrestlers would make, whether there was movies, TV shows, whatever it was, anything, we would bring it up. And people would watch it. The Briscoes have been in Impact Wrestling. Jay White has been in Impact Wrestling. And you go down the list, and it has not moved the needle a drop. Zero. So do you really think the Briscoes are going to be a crazy ratings draw in AEW? No. The fans that love AEW will continue to watch. But as far as new fans, casual fans tuning in because the Briscoes were on, the Briscoes are not on TV other than Impact Wrestling. So if you want to see them that bad, your only choice is Impact Wrestling, and that still doesn't convince them to watch. I think the Briscoes will sign with AEW. I think this stuff with the network, I think that is way over-exaggerated. Way over-exaggerated. The Briscoes have shown over the years that they are not, you know, any way people who should not be able to sign with AEW. I don't believe that at all. I think eventually they will sign. And I think we will see the Briscoes on AEW television. All right. Favorite SummerSlam memory? It's not my favorite, but, you know, it's being in the Navy. You know, I was ready to go home just in time for SummerSlam 88, and I caught chickenpox. And I had to stay in fucking Chicago for like 3 or 4 extra weeks. And I'm in a hospital bed. I'll never forget it. In a hospital bed, sucking on ice pops. And in the other room, I hear a couple of guys from the Navy watching SummerSlam 88. And I hear Miss Elizabeth's name. And I'm like, damn, I wanted to watch so bad, but I couldn't. We didn't have TVs in our hospital beds at the time. Basically, I had to just look at, count the little tiles on the ceiling. Count the little tiles on the ceiling. Austin Nance. Oh, Austin is in the house tonight. How would I book Theory's cash in? Whatever the cash in is going to be, it's got to be a loss. He's got a whole year. People need to realize it's after WrestleMania. After WrestleMania. You know, they used to say like, oh, you got 12 months, 365 days. Then they would say you have from now until WrestleMania. So even though we know Cody eventually is going to get the championship, I think Drew will get a championship again. Then you run down the list. You got Seth Rollins, you got Bobby Lashley, you got others who are viable contenders. As much as I like Theory, no way do I see Theory being in position to win that championship before a bunch of others. No matter how bright his future is, I would not put the title on him before others. I see him cashing in a losing effort. Do I think he cashes in as early as SummerSlam? No. He's already pissing us off with the briefcase. Let him do that for 6-7 more months. So I think he could cash in at Mania just because of the spectacle that is Mania, but I don't see him winning. I think Theory will lose. Be interesting who he cashes it into. We don't even know who, the opponents will be for the championship. So it's really hard for us to put an individual person. But I think Theory does cash in at Mania and loses. That's how I see it right now. Could change. That's how I see it. All right. Run DMG is the men's Money in the Bank match the most dangerous match in WWE? Nah, the most dangerous match in WWE is if I was in the ring or, one of you in the ring, anybody with inexperienced talent. See, we are the most dangerous people in wrestling. I've said that before. When I got to show you some more vintage promos that I cut in the late 2000s, 2008, 9, when I was telling everyone, I'm the most dangerous man in wrestling. You know why? I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Seriously. I'll drop you on your head. I'll fucking accidentally rip your eyeballs out. I'll break your ankle. I'll fucking fall the one. I'll make Marina Shafir look like fucking Charlotte Flair in the ring. I'm the most dangerous person in wrestling because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Nah, the most dangerous match is Hell in a Cell because they can't resist many times taking a crazy bump. It is so risky and so scary. I mean, don't get me wrong. Tables, ladders, and chairs is scary. Money in the Bank is scary. Anything that involves ladders more than anything else is scary shit. Because you got a piece of metal. You got, some cases, wood. And there's never a guarantee that this shit, it's not like, okay, Mr. Ladder, when we push left, you fall against the rope. You accidentally, but I've brought this up before, even with tables. True story. I'm going to bring up an XPW story. For anybody that's heard the story before, my apologies, but I think this is definitely worth bringing up. I worked with XPW behind the scenes, 2002, 2003. You go back to any of the ECW arena events, you will see me at the timekeeper's table every time. And one time it was Vic Grimes taking on Shane Douglas. I think that was the match where Shane Douglas stapled the dollar bill to Vic Grimes' tongue. How fucking crazy is that? I know. I mean, look, I've stapled money to people's heads, people's asses, but Vic Grimes like, no, staple to my tongue. You crazy? When I bite my tongue, it hurts. If I just accidentally chew the wrong way, it hurts. This guy's like, no, staple it to my tongue. So there was a table spot, and Vic Grimes was going to throw Lizzie Borden through a table, our table, the announcer's table, timekeeper's table. So we're at the timekeeper's table, and the guardrail is pushed back a certain distance. So when Vic Grimes picked up Lizzie Borden, we were supposed to get out of the way. And I told the people in the front row, I said, listen, later on, I'm going to dive over this guardrail. I said, just, you'll know when it happens. Just please get out of the way. And as soon as Vic Grimes picked up Lizzie Borden, I jumped over the guardrail as fast as I could. And she went through the table. The back of her head hit the guardrail. She had to go to the hospital. They were very, very worried about Lizzie Borden. Couple of minutes after the match, the word going around early on was that either me or Kingdom James or both of us accidentally kicked the announcer's table when we got out of Dodge and pushed it backwards. And it was my fault that she hit her head. Now, let's be honest. Rob Black, what was that guy's name? The guy that had his fingers cut off? Messiah, the Messiah. Soon as I hear, did you hit the table? I'm like, no, I definitely didn't hit the table. No, they think you hit the table. Right at that particular time, I'm like thinking of Messiah. You know, he's not doing I love you because he loves you. He's doing it because he ain't got 2 fingers. And I'm starting to ship bricks. Thank God somebody looked at the footage quickly. And they're like, no, they didn't hit the table. The point is, just a couple of inches difference could be the difference, you know, the distance, that could be the difference of a beautiful table spot and somebody fucking cracking the head open. So any of those matches are scary shit. Definitely scary shit. I am watching the Undertaker biography tonight. Definitely going to watch it tonight. Joseph is asking, the shirt is awesome. Where did I get it? Somebody, a friend of the show, gave me an Amazon gift card of $100. And, you know, because of, you know, expansion on pro wrestling TV, you know, they asked me to cut a couple of commercials. And they told me what to say. Hey, everybody, how you doing? This is the Don. Make sure you tune into Pro Wrestling TV or the Don Tony Show on Pro. So I got to cut these. I haven't done it yet. So I was like, you know what? Let me get some Italian shirts. I'm surrounded by Stunats. I wore one yesterday. I didn't wear it in front of you. I have one that says how Italians cut carbs, and it's a pizza cutter. So I got all these Italian themed shirts, but Amazon. Oh, yeah. One fall. If I made one mistake in the last 2 years going video, is not doing more than Don. You know, I ain't a ripoff of Tony D'Angelo. It's the fucking opposite. You know, I don't think of Tony D'Angelo when we talk. I've been making fun of Italians for 25 years. I make fun of myself for 25 years. The only reason why people don't pay attention is because when I make fun of Giuseppe or fucking Tony Calzone or Joey Supersad, I talk about people in the neighborhood, the old Italian ladies. They can't even speak fucking English. When I used to work at my dad's deli, they don't say, give me a half a pound of ham or half a pound of cheese. They use a letter. Give me a half a pound of Emma. Emma. Like Emma. Give me a half a pound of Emma. Give me a quarter pound of Chis. Just fucking say. Nobody notices that. But if I make fun of Leroy, the Negro, or Jose, the Spaniard, or Chen, the Japanese guy, if I make fun of other ethnicities or religions or anything, you fucking racist, you fucking this, you this, you this, you this. But meanwhile, hey, how you doing? This is Tommy. Hey, Anthony, I need you to come down ASAP. And nobody has any problem with that. There's no maliciousness in my heart. We have some lighthearted fun here. But yeah, they're like, you need to be the Don a little bit more. I'm like, yeah, but when I do my discussions, I'm me. I'm telling you exactly how I feel. I ain't not going to start going into fucking promo mode, simply because, hey, the Don. No. Trust me, if I was imitating Tony D'Angelo, I would just walk out now. Because, trust me, Tony D'Angelo, and nothing against him, it's not his fault. It's NXT, it's PG, corporate company, this and that. But 90% of what he claims the family does, nobody would fucking do that. Nobody would do that. Hey, you broke my heart. You're standing on a fucking pier. You throw the jacket? You don't throw the fucking jacket. If you fucking whack the guy, you send it to his fucking family in a box. You send all his fucking worldly possessions that he had on. You send the used underwear in the box. Hey, you want to know where Stax is? Here he is. And you send every article of clothing. You don't throw it over the ocean. For what? Especially in these days. You know what I would do? I'd throw it on eBay. Hey, used bomber. Used black leather jacket, size 39. Buy it now, $63. Half the stuff Tony D'Angelo on NXT is showing Legado del Fantasma with pictures of Santos Escobar in a fucking hospital bed. You don't do that. What do you do? Hey, Santos. Look, just picture Santos in the bed. Tony D'Angelo walks in. Santos like this. Hey, Santos. Snaps a finger. He's going to sit there and pose for the camera. Hey, you see what we did? We're so fucked up. You see what we did to Santos Escobar? We sent him to a hospital. You don't send somebody to a hospital, you fuck up. You leave him in the alleyway. You send him in a bad neighborhood. You send him in a bad neighborhood and you make him wear a T-shirt that says, I hate Run DMC. Or I hate whoever you want, Tupac. Or Tupac is a fraud. That's what you do. You don't send him to a nice, comfy hospital bed with a nice gown and take a picture and say, hey, this is what happened to Santos. They're like, hey, thank you. Thank you. That character has potential still. But WWE don't have a clue what to fucking do with it. You can do the character and be PG about it. How they're doing it, Tony D'Angelo should get whacked in storyline. Tony D'Angelo's got to answer for someone else. Nobody realizes this. Down the line, you heard it here first. I already know. Down the line, they're going to do a segment where Tony D'Angelo has to answer to somebody higher. Is it going to be a regular character in NXT? No, probably not. But Tony D'Angelo is not like the leader of the Italian world. He's answering to someone else. It just hasn't been brought up yet. Remember that. It's going to happen. Yeah. Oh, by the way, last week somebody brought up Happy Bobby Bonilla Day, and I said that I have a game-worn Bobby Bonilla jersey. This is actually Bobby Bonilla's batting jersey. Yep. It's one of the only jerseys that I kept. This is an actual batting jersey, Bobby Bonilla. I wear it once in a while. It's mesh. So the only problem is if you're in an air-conditioned room, my nipples kind of like poke through the mesh. It doesn't look too very appealing. You know, I kind of like got to keep adjusting it, not because it's tight, but because my nipples keep going out through the mesh. Being a little bit too revealing here, you know. I think I got nice nipples, you know. The only problem is it's like Oscar Mayer baloney. You know, they're hanging a little bit down. You notice I got to be like this. All right. Will Tiffany Stratton's daddy ever be an on-screen character? Nah. We could see a skit here and there. We definitely could see a skit. But no, I would not have an on-air character for Tiffany's dad. No. It's not a bad idea. But I don't think that would go anywhere. It's not like Shelton Benjamin's mom. They're not going to do something like that. Bailey Josh, how would I book the women's Raw and SmackDown titles for SummerSlam and Survivor Series? Well, for SummerSlam, we know we have Liv versus Ronda. I believe Charlotte Flair will return. Does she return before SummerSlam? I don't think so. But she should return, I would think, at SummerSlam. Maybe she lays out Liv Morgan right after the match is over. Maybe she gets involved. I know we brought up that scenario already, but I believe Charlotte Flair will interfere. Personally, I would have rather have seen Liv Morgan face more than one person. And then, as a matter of convenience, you know, somebody hits their finisher and then gets thrown out of the ring, Liv steals the pin. I know that is a heel thing to do, but it depends on who you're screwing. Like if Bianca Belair did that to Becky, everybody would be like, oh, that's awesome. You know, by the way, tomorrow on the post-Raw show, I'm going to have a little opinion piece about Becky Lynch. And I wrote a little teaser on Twitter earlier. And it was really some reflection that I made today about Becky Lynch. I don't want to give it away now because it'll turn into a big conversation. But I have some newfound appreciation for Becky Lynch, consummate professional. You go to my Twitter, @DonTonyD. I posted a statistic that I'll talk about tomorrow, but if you can't wait, go look at the statistic. And as you think about her win-loss record the last bunch of months, who she's elevated, and what she has done, unselfish, and now obviously the storyline has changed, but that's somebody you want working for you. No matter how annoying her voice, I'm going to get my Precious back. Precious. I don't care how annoying she is. That's somebody you want on your roster. Big time. Yeah, Roxelle Wolf, you're right. She's 5-27 the last bunch of months. How many Mets games do I go a year, Matt? As of right now, a big fat goose egg. With COVID the last 2 years, it's been a little bit difficult. Now, because I'm getting married September 3rd, I'm banging out a lot of shows during the week. I have not hit it. Anything that I make off these shows after paying expenses, anything that I get goes to my wedding. We do a lot of giveaways and stuff, but that stuff I already have in the can. Sometimes some of you will send me things, very kind of you, and then we'll give it away as contests. Trust me, anybody that sends me something that says, DT, I want you to keep it, I keep it. I don't want anybody to think because they send me something and then, hey, it's a watch party giveaway. The fuck, Don Tony? I gave this to you to keep. I didn't give it to you to give out to fucking KD. So anything, it's going to my wedding. I'm paying my own wedding. And, there's some serious personal issues. A lot of you know this already. I got married May 2nd, 1999. Within 6 months, it was over. I got it annulled. I got it erased. But the one thing that really hurts me to this day, not her. Psycho bitch is gone. I'm so glad she's out of my memory. I don't remember the date I got divorced. But the point is this. My parents paid for that entire wedding. They paid a lot of money. And to think that 6 months later, the relationship was over. Like, I felt so awful to my parents. My friends and my relatives, I was embarrassed also. But my parents especially, that they put that kind of coin just to see it blow up in smoke in 6 months. So when I decided that I was going to tie the knot, second time, I said, they're not paying for it. I don't care how many hours I got to work. So when people make fun of me, oh, he does the show every day, he does this, he takes super chats, this and that. Guess what? September 3rd, late at night, I'm getting laid like I've never been laid before. Hopefully the Forbidden Door becomes available. And you all know what that Forbidden Door is. I'm not making no guarantees. No, there will not be coverage. I will not give you a recap the next day. But, trying to, have a nice life. Grab life by the meatballs. Grab my meatballs, honey. I'm not living in fear, Twix. I'm having a fucking great time, man. Seriously. That's why I don't cheat either. Because you think I want one day to get a crazy text message? How come you didn't call me? Or a crazy email or somebody rings my doorbell? Who's that? It's Grubhub. How come you're not answering the door? All right, back to the show. Because we're already halfway done. CJ Rocks. What do I think of the shows Heels and Young Rock? How do I feel about the actors? Look, the actors are doing a good job. They're doing the best that they can, what it's been given to them. So I have nothing against any of the performers on those shows. Heels, I gave it a shot and didn't like it. I saw the CM Punk appearance. I thought it was okay. Just didn't connect with me. Young Rock, to me, in my opinion, Young Rock is for younger fans and non-wrestling fans. Before it came out, I always thought it was going to be like Everybody Loves Chris. You remember that show, Everybody Loves Chris? I thought that's what this was going to be. But if you're a longtime wrestling fan, AKA old, and you see what's on TV, you look at it and you're like, wait a minute. This person didn't wrestle in WWF in 1979. This doesn't make, that's not true. So you see that and you realize that a lot of what you're watching on TV, I keep looking at my arm. I don't know if you can see it. See it? I burned it. Pretty bad too. You see that red? You really can't see all that close, but I burned it. Yeah, somebody grabbed me, put me in their car, and tried to put me inside the pizza oven, and I grabbed the door and I burned my arm. But Young Rock, a lot of it is not, it's loosely based on facts. And if you're a longtime wrestling fan, if you grew up with the Rock's era, or if you know Rocky Johnson's time, you might get a little frustrated with the inaccuracies. You can't go into Young Rock thinking that you're seeing a bio. It is loosely based on his life, but it's not completely. Trust me, if they ever did a Young Tony and it was based on me, trust me when I tell you, I promise you that most of what you see on TV would be true, but I would have to get laid at least 6-7 extra times. You know, maybe the actor is a little 20 pounds lighter than yours truly. Where's a size 34 instead of a 36/38? So it's, you know, it's loosely based on it. I'm not a fan of either show, but it's got a core audience, and I don't have any issue with that. I understand why, but it's not for me. Copper the Great, speaking of The Rock, how much pressure is his daughter under because of who her dad is? She's under pressure. No question. They could call her Simone Johnson. They could call her Mary. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because everybody knows at the end of the day that's The Rock's daughter. You could fucking put her under a mask. If everybody in the crowd knows that's The Rock's daughter, you know, she can't get past that. I think there's a lot of pressure on her, but there's a big support group online for her. She's got a lot of women within WWE that are rooting for her. She's taken this seriously. She does not want to disappoint her father. She doesn't want to disappoint herself. So there is pressure, but I think there's a lot less pressure because of the support group and because, you know, she is, you know, a lot of people thought, you remember early on when they changed the name, and a lot of people did these rants. The fuck, you don't just call her Simone Johnson. How the fuck you got to change the name? Well, she actually was behind that too. She wanted to eliminate that part of it. You know, so it's something a lot of people don't think about. I think she'll be okay. Will she be good? I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. But I will never compare her career to The Rock's unless she starts mimicking some of what he did. Look at Charlotte Flair. Early on, Charlotte Flair wanted to be Charlotte more than Charlotte Flair until she started going, woo! You know, then you kind of like put the two together. Scissor me, daddy-o. Yeah, Rock had Flex Cavana, Rocky Maivia, The Rock, even used Dwayne Johnson. What else did he use? Can't remember right now. Flex Cavana. CJ, yeah, would rather watch Young Blassie. Breakfast with Blassie. That might be coming back. I think we're going to try every other Saturday morning starting in August. Every other Saturday, we'll do a Saturday night, and the following week do a Saturday morning. Week after Saturday night, week after Saturday morning. We'll try it out. We'll see what kind of response we get. I'm not going to lie to you. Saturday nights is probably the most fun that I have, only because, number one, it's at 8 o'clock instead of 10 or 11. And number two, because I'm not necessarily going in there right after a show goes off the air. So I have a clear mind. I could think about things. I can get into it. So Saturday night is my favorite night doing shows. So believe me, if I do a Saturday morning show, when it gets towards Saturday night, I'm going to be like, damn it, I want to do something. But I don't want to do things just to do it. You know, I want to do things that mean something. So, Guardian of Chaos, my brother, any updated thoughts on Ric Flair's matchup? Who owns it if he gets hurt? Ric Flair owns it more than anything. Conrad owns it. The doctors, whatever doctor that told him, I mean, you know, let's be honest, 100 doctors said, you fucking crazy. You know, God bless you for thinking that way. He got one fucking doctor, and trust me, I'm not exaggerating as much as you think. Don't be surprised if he fucking paid with his cell phone for some teleconference on his phone. Hello, I'm Dr. Bob. Who are you? I am Ric Flair. I want to do some athletic competition, but I had a pacemaker and had a few other issues. But look, send me your charts. And he looks at it. I cannot see why you cannot do this. All I'm going to be doing is just kind of like aerobics. And some moron said, yeah, I think you'll be all right. That's all I needed. Plus, remember, Tennessee State Athletic Commission is pretty much non-existent. Shit, you could dig up my grandmother and fucking put her in the ring. And if there was some exorcistic capabilities, I just made that word up, that she could actually wrestle, I don't think it would be anybody saying no. So there's a lot of people own up to it, but at the end of the day, it's Ric Flair more than anything. It's anybody. You can't listen. Just because you want it, and you have someone that could give it to you, doesn't mean you should. If Ric Flair doesn't get this and he dies of a broken heart, he died of a broken heart because we didn't let him grant his wish. It's, to me, the health condition he was in, whoever fucking told him that it was okay, and let's make this clear, everybody, every doctor could have said no to him, and he still would be able to do this because it's in Tennessee. He didn't need a doctor in order to do this. The only reason why he said he got a doctor is to try to silence the IWC. That's the only reason. I mean, obviously, he wants to be assured. I don't think he wants to die. But so it feels good that the doctor says, no, I think you're good, strong enough. I think you could do it. 6 good minutes. But it was just to try to silence social media. Silence the noise. That's the only reason why the doctor was even brought up. Because understand something, 45 doctors say no, and one says yes. That's 45 doctors that said no. And honestly, if something happens terribly, I will feel bad for whoever his opponent is too. But I would not blame the opponent. Seriously, unless the opponent fucking gave him like a heart punch, just went in the ring, did Polish power, boom, right into heart, and he took a back bump, and next thing you know, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that move. I don't think Ric Flair should get into a chop fest with anybody, because if it's Sting, and I think it's going to be Sting, but if you remember when they would feud, especially in the latter years, Ric Flair would chop Sting in the corner, and Sting would go, eh, and then Sting would throw Flair in the corner, give him a chop. I would not, especially with a pacemaker. You imagine Sting, ow, chops him and fucking hits the pacemaker, and Ric Flair with that sudden. Seriously, I'm not trying to be funny about it, but Ric Flair is gonna. I'll just leave it at that. No, we're not going further. Leave it to your imagination. It's not funny, but it's very serious. There's a reason why when you get a pacemaker, there's certain things you can't do. You remember my intro with Breakfast with Blassie? When Hulk Hogan used to have, I still have my spinal stimulator in me. I have the same exact spinal stimulator that Hogan had. Back then, what was my intro? You want to have some fun with Hulk Hogan since he's got that spinal stimulator in it? Turn the fucking microwaves on around him. Send some extra microwave waves. He'll be going, cutting a promo, and he'll be, brother. He'd be like, wow. There's a reason why these electronic devices, you can't just do whatever you want with them. Yeah, Stinger Splash. Yeah, that too. Stinger Splash too. Seriously. So we might bring back Breakfast with Blassie. I would have to redo the intros, though. We'd have to do the intros. First of all, Matt Hardy don't have dreadlocks anymore. I don't have any issues with Jim Cornette anymore. You know, Dixie Carter is not around anymore, so there's no reason for her to still be forgiven. The wrestling world still has atheists. There's a lot of things we would have to change. So, will I talk politics if warranted? But 99% of everybody here don't want politics. I mean, that was one of the reasons why people started hating the shows back in the day. People were sick of me bringing up politics. That was a gigantic complaint. And I said to everyone, look, I promise you, I will not bring it up unless it's something major that we have to discuss. I don't bring up politics anymore. By the way, tomorrow, we got to talk about Johnny Ace. Apparently, he got his hands caught in the cookie jar as well. Back in 2012, $1.5 million payout. Trying to get some information. I will not throw names out there unless we are 100% certain. I felt so bad for Christy Hemme the last couple of days. And yes, it could very well end up being her with the Vince stuff. I will say one thing about Christy Hemme, just to follow up yesterday's conversation. If it wasn't Christy Hemme, why the fuck is she not going online and saying, listen, everybody, you know, I appreciate all your thoughts and concern, but I want to make this clear. It's not me. Trust me, if I used to work in wrestling and, 15 years later, some 80-year-old woman, that was in her 50s back in the day, but some 80-year-old woman, there's this word going around that, I don't know, Vince McMahon's mom had sex, forced Don Tony into, carpet munching for a little while. You think I wanted to let it sit out there that I even if she was 60 at the time, you think I want it out there? Oh, look, Don Tony fucking fooled around with a 60-year-old when he was in his 30s or 20s or whatever it was. I'd be on social media a minute later. Listen, everybody, no. It ain't me, brother. So if it wasn't Christy Hemme, my advice, my opinion, Christy, if it wasn't you, go out and tell everybody. Don't leave that out there. What a lot of people forget, I mentioned it yesterday, what a lot of people forget is back in the day, the rumor was that Triple H slept with Christy Hemme. That wasn't true. Now, you think about Triple H and Stephanie's relationship way back when and how new it was, and you realize they're bringing children into the world. And imagine how that must feel, that the world thinks that Triple H cheated on Stephanie. I don't know what Triple H has done in his private life. We were talking yesterday about the culture of WWE in the late 90s to the mid 2000s, that 10-year period. From like 1997 to 2007, I would say about that time, 10 year. But what else was going on? I happened to watch this a couple of weeks ago, and it hit me after we did the show yesterday. The Dark Side of the 90s. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a documentary, The Dark Side of the 90s, and they talk about the Viper Room, where, Kurt Cobain OD'd and died. And you're seeing all these people talking about the culture, behind the scenes, and everybody just partying and sex and drugs. I mean, that 10-year time period falls into the same period as WWE and a lot of others. See, when you think of partying in wrestling, we think the 70s, the 80s, and it ended with the plane ride from hell. Oh, no, it didn't. Oh, no, it didn't. It didn't. But, people are, see, you got to understand too, for younger people out there, they didn't live through this. They could pretend and act like they did, but they didn't. We used to cover it on the hotlines and the shows that Johnny Ace used to go through the model magazines. We got to hire her. Oh, my God, we got to hire her. Oh, we got to give her a call. Call her agent. That was a running joke. I fucking found Blackheart's hotline reports that we did back in the day talking about that. It's not anything new. The only thing that's new now is the payouts. But everybody knew that Vince was a pig. Everybody knew that, Vince The Tanzabar stuff was crazy at the time. And who knows? Maybe Vince paid her off too. I don't know. I will say this, though. I didn't say this yesterday. Something for you all to think about. If I'm Vince McMahon, how do you not have like a foreign bank account somewhere? With the amount of money he's made in his lifetime, how do you not have a bank account under the name like Rick Smith? Rick Smith. And how come you don't do those payouts through some why don't you buy some cryptocurrency and put it under Spike the dog's name? And then when you put your hands in the cookie jar, it has nothing to do with WWE, and you do a payout. You don't do it on your own thing. It's like if you're going to go and you're going to fucking rip people online. You don't do it under your own name. Back in the day when people used to post shit about me, they would post it under fake names. And when I would go back after Sean the Mick and the Mass Maniac and everyone else, I used the screen name Don Cornelius. You go back, anybody that remembers those days, you were fucking Don Cornelius, you motherfucker. Yeah, I was Don Cornelius. You think I was going to post under my real name, calling somebody an asshole? No. So how does Vince, that's how brazen it is. His own bank account. And Linda knew about all the payouts. So it just blows me away that this guy doesn't have a stash somewhere for things like this. So of course all this stuff is starting to come out. My favorite moment or match of Rey Mysterio's 20-year WWE career. God damn it. You had to say WWE career. My favorite moment is him and Eddie. Not Dominic on the pole shit, but him and Eddie, especially after Eddie won, just that bond, that relationship after Eddie passed, just Ray's tributes to him. Those are moments for me. My all-time favorite Rey Mysterio moment, period, is his match in WCW against Eddie Guerrero. Was it Halloween Havoc when he wore, he was dressed like the Riddler, all purple? Fucking amazing. Amazing. Soulfly's fake name is Long Dong Johnson. D-O-N-G. Long Dong Johnson. I like that. Thoughts on the baseball season so far? Predictions in the second half? I predicted the Mets are going to win 96 games. I think we're going to see pretty much the same the second half. I think teams like the Braves, you got to be a little bit concerned about. I like, the Mets' chances, the Yankees' chances, the Dodgers. I think they may uptick a little bit. I don't see much difference second half. CJ's fake name is Harry Bolsonia. I don't think you all should be revealing this stuff unless this is from years from past. Speaking of past and past, as in Eddie, this question came in earlier that I have to answer from Lascelles. Of everyone who died prematurely in mainstream wrestling, who, if alive today, do I think could still have done it? That's a question. I mean, I've been asked about, if so-and-so was alive today, do you think he would have been world champion by now? That came up with Owen, with Brian Pillman, with others. But this is a great question. Of everyone who has died prematurely in mainstream wrestling, who do I think would still be able to go today? The first person that comes to my mind, if he, stood clean, because he was clean when he passed, Chris Candido. Chris Candido, I don't even think he would be 50 right now. Chris, I think, would still be able to go. I always remember Louis Spicolli. Louis Spicolli probably would have broke 50 by now, but Louis Spicolli, very underappreciated, towards the latter end of his career, but he was really fucked up with abuse. Oh my God. The shit with Louis Spicolli was just beyond. I don't think Pillman would be able to go because at this age now, especially after the car accident, we're just saying if somebody didn't die. I mean, he still had that car accident. I don't think his body, his foot, his ankle would have been able to keep up. I think of Owen. I think there is a possibility Owen could have still been able to go at this stage of the game. I mean, look, Sting is obviously the exception to the rule. I mean, I can't picture Owen Hart going hardcore or doing some of the stuff Sting does right now. I could see him diving onto people. But the one that comes to mind is Candido, Owen, those two. Eddie Guerrero, if he toned down the high flying stuff, I think Eddie could very well have still been able to do it. If he would have kept himself in shape, even if it was just part-time. I mean, my God, we have wrestlers now approaching 70 and still doing stuff. It really has to do with their arsenal and the type of career that they had. So that's why I think Chris Candido more out of everybody else, because Chris could do high flying, but Chris was ground game. So a lot of his, legs and his lower body, I think, would still hold up to today. But that's why we didn't even talk about Jordan Grace's stuff yesterday, about the Benoit stuff, because, when you start comparing people of yesteryear saying they can't hang with wrestlers today, the mistake that Jordan Grace made, and I didn't say anything bad about her, and I'm not criticizing her now. The problem that Jordan Grace made is that not everybody is a spot monkey in 2022. Not everybody does video game moves. There are people that have excellent ground games that are technical ground wrestlers. So she says it in a way thinking that Benoit would be fighting with the Young Bucks. You know what I mean? Or, or just the Lucha Bros. No, maybe Chris Benoit would have went up against, CM Punk, and there would have been more of a ground game. So you can't immediately think that every wrestler in 2022 is a spot monkey. So that's a great question. I really appreciate the way it was worded. If you would have not chose mainstream wrestling, I would have chose a couple of local indie guys. So especially people who passed in their 20s, they still would only be in their 30s. Grandmaster Sexay, he probably could have still done it for sure, but I don't know if, the masses, he probably, unfortunately, because of the way his career was ending up, his time had gone. Scotty 2 Hotty is still doing it. I think if Scotty 2 Hotty still was in the ring as much as possible, like he is now, I think, it's Too Cool. They obviously would not have been able to call themselves Too Cool on the indie circuit, but, they would have definitely been able to go. So, all right, we are right at an hour. I think we're going to jet. Last question for tonight from Merrick. His friend is an AEW guy. He asked him what he loves about AEW. He says more than he loves AEW, he hates WWE. Do I think people who support AEW because they're just anti-WWE? No. Most people that like AEW are not anti-WWE. They say they're anti-WWE because they think they get more in with people. If you just say, fuck you, that goes back to the TNA days when they did their extreme hardcore pay-per-view. And at the very end, they're like, fuck you, Vince, and everything like that. When you have competition, people feel that they get more attention and more props if they curse the competitor instead of just saying, hey, I love everything. It's in baseball too. Here in New York, you got Yankee fans, you got Met fans. If you say, oh, what if the Yankees make the playoffs and you're a Met fan? If you say, oh, I root for New York, people will be like, asshole. So that's across everything, all sports. So most people do that just to try to get attention to themselves. So, all right, I'm going to jet. Tomorrow night we have Raw. If you check out the preview for tomorrow's show, I got a couple little tidbits that have not been made public that you could look out for tomorrow. And we got a few interesting topics. We definitely got to get into the Vince McMahon Netflix stuff because there's some, inaccurate information floating around there. So I will set that record straight tomorrow. Hour flew by, everybody. Fucking awesome. We end up going about 2 minutes over because we got the outro. But, as long as it's within 5 minutes, I got to get used to it. Because when we go live, it's just like watching regular TV, like watching your favorite show on network TV. It goes off at exactly, that beginning of that hour or the end of the hour, however you look at it. So I got to get used to that. So if I go 2-3 minutes over, someone else who's waiting to go live is going to be very pissed off at me. So, very, very cool. And shout out to Chip Beef. Chip Beef. Everyone, if you enjoyed the show, hit the thumbs up on the way out. And if you're around tomorrow night at 11:05, join me for your WWE Raw post show. Brock will be on. Theory will be trolling Brock. We will get some more build to SummerSlam. We'll talk a little bit about Rhea Ripley, a little bit of controversy, her wearing a heart monitor. Some people, they see a little piece of equipment and they think the worst. We'll talk about that tomorrow. All right. Much love, everyone. Thank you, as always, for the support. Hope you had a great weekend. Have a great week coming up. All the best, and I'll see you tomorrow night, 11:05 p.m. Eastern. Ciao, everybody. Grab life by the fucking meatballs.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.